A gunite pool is basically built out of pneumatic cement and re-rod, and the concrete mix, that rough cement, has compressive strength but doesn't have tensile strength. The steel rebar in it has tensile strength and doesn't have compressive strength. So the re-rod can bend and flex, but it doesn't hold up real well if you crush it. Concrete holds up really well if you crush it, but it has no strength if you crack it. And the reason why we have to put a surface over that is the concrete is porous. And looking at on a molecular level, there's gaps between the molecules enough to allow water molecules to drain through it. So if you left the raw gunite and filled that with water, eventually the water would weep out of the pool. So once you put a plaster finish over it, that plaster finish has a microscopically much tighter knit finish so that the water molecules can't weep their way through that material and out of the pool. In gunite construction, there are several pool finish types. The traditional pool of many years is marcite, and marcite is a mixture of marble dust. It's basically crushed marble. If you look at it on a microscopic level, it looks like little shards of glass almost. That mixed with Portland cement, white Portland cement, those blended together give a strong finish that's impermeable to water. The downside to it is it's susceptible to the water chemistry. The water molecules and the changes in pH in the water and the changes in alkalinity, those things allow the water to become aggressive, and it gets in there and it actually draws calcium out of the surface, and it exposes that marble dust, which is almost like little shards of glass, making it really rough. Plus then, the more rough it is, the more susceptible to stain. So that's the most popular in the past. That's not super popular now, although at your base vinyl or base gunite pool, marcite is still used a lot. Stepping up from that, you have quartz-based finishes. So instead of having it be crushed marble, now it's crushed quartz. And the beauty in that is the quartz is a denser, stronger material. It's less resistant to wear and tear, and therefore it's going to last longer. Plus, if it ever does get rough, you can take a polisher, a diamond polisher, and polish it smooth again. With a marble dust, if you try to use a marble polisher, it just crumbles the dust. The marble is just soft. Step up from there, I guess up, sideways, however you want to look at it, is pebble finishes. And all of these are still an aggregate mixed in white Portland cement with certain additives. A pebble finish is stone polish, or they call it river polished pebbles. So pebbles that have been ground up in the river and are really small, fine pebbles that once you mix that with cement and expose that surface, it gives it a different look. Plus that pebble has been finished and polished for so long that it's virtually impossible for water to penetrate into it. And if you expose 80% of that to the surface, very little water damage can happen to the surface because you're not exposing as much of the cement product to the surface. So those are the three basic types. Now there's painted pools. You take an old marcite pool, and instead of replastering it, a lot of times people would use paints. And there are both latex-based and solvent-based epoxy paints, which again have certain lifetime and shelf lives, and if you painted with one, you can't paint with another, and it adds a whole nother layer. And some of the things that we're seeing now is in the last 10 or 15 years, there's also been some different roll-on finishes, fiberglass roll-on finishes, and now what we're seeing with products that are blown on through heat and melted, a melted plastic surface, which gives a nice, soft, comfortable feel. Longevity are still to be determined because those are relatively new. It's really exciting for the industry to see some of those surfaces because it's giving us a lot more option in terms of how to finish. So there's a bunch of basic types, and then there's some of these specialty products that are becoming pretty strong in the market.